So we all remember this bike. This is the Engwe P275 Pro. Fab. I'm guessing that you've all seen my review for this, but I'll put a link into it if you haven't. But it has a little brother. This is the Engwe P20. So what we're dealing with? Well, we've got a single sprocket belt drive. We've got Gates carbon drive belt. We've got a larger than normal chain ring. We've got a sub 10 amp hour battery. It folds in half. The stem folds down. Plastic mudguards. Headlight. .160mm rotors with hydraulic brakes at the front. Magnetic clasp. 160mm rotors at the rear. Hydraulic brakes, magnetic clasp. Folding pedals. Elegant kickstand, which works really well. 250-watt motor. Folding it down is a doddle. You've got a clasp here. You've got a clasp here, so you just pop this one up like that. Release that. Bring this down. Clasp here. Pop that. Whole thing folds in half in seconds. It's that simple. While I'm at it, while I'm down here, all the wiring's colour. It's sealed off with a casing, which is quite cool. Stops the wires from breaking up. But yeah, basically. That is how quickly it takes. Nice simple folding pedals. Tiny usable bike rack. So to turn it on, hit that top button. There we go. Go to the pass, up, down. There. Info button there, you can change the info out. But that's about all you get with that. To get into the settings, you turn it on. As soon as you turn it on, press this button here, hold it down, and then you're into the settings. So you can, with the up and down, you can go through the settings and you can get into the P settings from there. There's a code for that. I'll put the code up there on the screen now so you can see it. There, and it's as simple as that. So after a minute or so, if you press the info button here there you go, you'll get your max speed, whatever, and you can reset all that within there. You can clean it. So you can set your settings for that from in there. To turn the lights on, it's a long press of the up button. There you go. You can see how bright that light is. It's quite bright. So you've got rear lights. It's also brake lights. There. You've also got indicators. Down here there's a little access port, look. Let's have a look. Yeah, just as I thought, from that port, look, you can access the controller in there, look. Plenty of space in there to get a battery blender, I'd have thought. Get another battery for the back. So it is the Engwe P20, little brother of the P275 Pro. It's a cracking looking little thing. You know, I've ridden it over here to the old test and it's really comfortable. It's more comfortable than it deserves to be. And I've ridden Bromptons that aren't this comfortable. And I know it's not a direct competitor with anything Brompton makes, but that's what it reminds me of, is something a little bit Brompton-y. So anyway, let's get it up this hill. Let's do the hill test. Right, let's see if we can get up this 112 foot over a third of a mile hill. Now listen, I've had bikes that are 48 volt that are heavier than this, never made it up this hill. So let's see how this little P20 does. Now I classify this as a commuter last miler bike. So you take it on the train, take it to your last few miles at work, or you take it down to the parking ride, get it out of your car, do the last few miles to work. And for this it's going to be ideal. Plus just nipping into town. It's a cracking little bike. So as I already said, it's a torque sensor, belt drive, just under 10 amp hour battery. It's well, it's not struggling up here at all. You are restricted to a single speed, but for what you're going to be using it for, throwing it in the back of the car, occasionally using it there. To be honest, you work 5 miles away, this thing's fab. Get it to work easily. And I'm riding 5 miles in, well, 6 miles from, well, it's probably 5 miles from here, into town now. But yeah, just on the hill climb. I get asked a lot why I don't do range tests and box openings. They're irrelevant. What you'll get as a range, unless you're exactly the same weight as me, live where I live, it's going to be totally different. And as for the unboxing videos, well, you'll find that of late, Engwe have been doing their own and they're brilliant. They're simple, they show you how it's done. And if you can't unbox one and put it together yourself, you're going to struggle with maintenance. But saying that, this thing don't really need any maintenance. It doesn't. You don't have to deal with a chain, you don't have to deal with gears. It's great. I'm currently doing 25 mile an hour with it. I mean, albeit downhill. I'm doing 25 mile an hour on it, 26 now. And I'm not drawing any power. As I've mentioned before, the law's ridiculous when it comes to this sort of thing, because I'm allowed to do ridiculous speeds downhill, but uphill when I need it, I'm not allowed to throttle. I'm not using any power from the bike at the moment. I've switched it all off and I'm riding uphill. And yeah, it's light enough, the tyres are thin enough. And the other thing, there's no rattles. I'm going over the occasional lump and you can feel it a bit, but it's nothing like that. It's nothing to write home about. But yeah, I'm currently drawing no power, 0. So if your battery runs out, you can still pedal it home. Get some beans. But when you've got it in turbo or boost, you're not riding a bike, it's doing it for you. Just moving your legs around. But this is one of those bikes that I keep telling everybody, you get exercise out of this. You know, you can switch it off and get some exercise with it. I mean, you pay 1,200 quid for a good exercise bike that you can't take out the house. You know, one of them things that you end up putting clothes on, ends up part of the bedroom wardrobe furniture. This is far better. I'm out and about. It really doesn't struggle with hills whatsoever. It really doesn't. And you wouldn't believe you weren't on a bike with no suspension on. I know we've all got used to it, having it on our Engwe Engine Pros, and having front suspension on the EP2s, and, you know, pretty much every other bike Engwe makes apart from the P series, it has suspension. We got kind of used to that. And this is just like riding an ordinary bike, that when you come to the hills, it's a doddle, absolute doddle. So what you quickly learn with this thing is that your pass becomes your gears. So I'm just about to come up a hill, familiar one, and so into boost. As much as I could easily pedal up here with no power, I don't want to. It's the whole idea of having an e-bike. But yeah, like I said, you quickly sort of understand that the power assist becomes the gears on this. So this is a rough part. You can tell by the road down there that this is quite rough, but it handles really well. You know, if you avoid the really grotty stuff, it's brilliant. You get on here, what can you hear? Genuinely, what can you hear? Nothing. Even when I'm pedaling, nothing. I like this. I like the simplicity of it. And I'm a big fan of these egg rider type displays down here. They're brilliant. They're simplified. But yeah, so far, so good. So let's see what it's like around town. It's really nimble, really nimble. Really, really nimble. If you're wondering why the display keeps showing bouncing between 5 bars and 4 bars, it's because when you're getting uphill or going uphill, you get a bit of battery sag, and then when the battery sag's ended, it'll throw it back up to its natural battery rate, which in this case was 5 bars. But yeah, manners wise, this bike around town, it's fab. Really is good. And these tyres have a lot of grip. This is the bit where I normally test tyre grip, and yeah, it's fine. Absolutely fine. Like I said, it's so nimble. Really, really nimble. Yeah, let's go up this hill. So as I say, yeah, it's another horrible hill. So far I've just done over 8 miles on the trip, and I've just dropped down to 4 bars, and at that rate you can easily get 30 miles range out of this. And don't forget, I've actually dropped down from 250 to 245 pounds with my pack, so I'm no lightweight on this bike. But can you imagine the range you'd be getting if you're like 12, 13 stone? And look how easily it gets up hills. It's not uncomfortable either. That's the other thing, it's genuinely not uncomfortable. What else do you want from her? commuter bike. This is actually better than the P275 Pro. And it's a delight to ride around on. Really is. It doesn't struggle with hills. Just really doesn't. But that's down to those thinner, less energy sapping tyres. You don't need 48 volts for these tyres. You don't need 52 volts for these tyres. You don't need 52 volts or 48 volts for this weight of bike. And yet round town, it's doing everything that any of my other bikes can do. So, at pretty much 9 miles, it's just gone back up to 5 bars out of 5 bars. It's fabulous around town. Really is. Really is fabulous around town. It's such a little gentle bike. Well, I say it's little. You don't feel like you'd be intimidated on it when you're on it. Let's put it that way. It's a really well styled bike. It's been really well put together as well. And I'm going over these little bumpy things at the moment, and to be honest, I can't feel a thing. And then when you need a bit of nip, it's there. Yeah. It's a cracking thing. So today we're going into Leeds. I'm going to get the train in. And we're going to have a look around Leeds. So morning, love. Have the train into Leeds, please.
Single or return?
I'm going to cycle back.
Ah.
Not used one of these before.
Right, take it home.
That's it, we're in Leeds. So that was quite painless. I didn't expect it to be more painful than that, but it wasn't. So yeah, you can take these on the train into Leeds, and not just this one, but I could take any bike on. They've got bike lockers, or a bike locker, and to be honest, I won't get my big bike on it anyway. So the way I see this bike working is it's a last miler. We've been here before with most e-bikes that I review, or more to the point, been here before with the commuter e-bikes that I review. As you've seen, it's ideal for just popping into Leeds on and just getting to work. That's the whole idea behind these bikes, that you have a piece of secondary transport to get you from A to B. Well, there's a lot to like about it as well. I mean, the fact that it's got hydraulic brakes makes a big difference. Those small tyres, they grip really well as well. They're like gummy, and it's so quiet. And the reason it's so quiet is down to that belt drive. I say plastic fenders, I don't mind them. Can use them all day long because they're quiet. And that battery, small as it is, does the job. I do like the brake lights and the indicators. We'll do a little bit more on them in the dark, or somewhere a little bit less bright. Fold up pedals. It's brilliant. The little bike rack, it's a little bike rack. So when I tried putting my pannier on it earlier, it was a little bit too small. But I could have adapted the pannier, or I could do it at some point, but I won't need to, because really I've got my backpack. But yeah. What else do you want from your e-bike? What else do you want from a commuter bike? It's fab. Leeds City Museum. So what's with all the piano stuff then, mate? What's with all the piano stuff? Just seen the one down there as well, the
Cube, yeah. It's the Leeds International Piano Competition.
Right.
And that's starting next week. And there's a piano trail and a piano festival that's sort of surrounding it all.
I think I'll pop into town for that.
Sorry?
I think I'll pop into town for that. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Have a nice day.
If you do the QR code, then you get the whole
Experience.
program, yeah.
Thank you very much. So that's what all the piano bits are about then. Which, as you can see here, if you live nearby, I'll put the link to this because this looks pretty cool. Yeah, really something different. You two look so smart, I'm embarrassed.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're gonna ride up to somewhere where somebody might work and just technically take it from there. So yeah, we're gonna take it up, say, to the university where somebody might work and just got off the train. And it's a couple of miles, 2 or 3 miles away. And, you know, it's a good 20, 25-minute walk to work every morning. But this will get you up there in minutes. And this is what these bikes are for. Fold them up, throw them on the train. So I was just talking to the people, 2 guys that had their e-bikes on the train. They said they've never had a problem getting their e-bikes on the train. They've knocked back scooters, but not e-bikes, which I found very interesting. I also asked the woman at the train station when I got my ticket, you know, is there an issue with these? She said no. But there was only one bike locker on the train, which I thought was a bit mean. And because there was already a bike in it, I could put my bike in it. So I had to stand up for the 15 minutes here, but that's no biggie, is it? But yeah. So right now, we'd have to be walking up here, keep walking, walk. And you'll see when we get up there, it's quite a walk. But coming up on an e-bike like this, oh, can I say, it's just what you want to be doing. Get to work this way. Yeah, and if you're only doing sort of 5 miles to 10 miles, or 5, 10 miles a day on your e-bike, telling you what, you're not going to have to charge this every day. You're going to be charging it every 3, 4 days. The range on this isn't bad at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if we got 30 miles out of it. There's only one way we're going to find out. I keep telling everybody, range is relative, depends on where you live, what the terrain's like, what the weather's like, the ambient temperature, your body weight, the bike's weight. None of it's a datum number. So whereas I'll probably get X out of this, you weigh 3 or 4 stone lighter, you're going to get Y out of this. Some beautiful architecture around Leeds still.
Yes.
That knocked everything down. Luckily. There's a few things they could have knocked down and they didn't. So say you worked up here. Let's go 15, 20-minute walk. Safe. And we're going to go around by the hospital. So if you worked at the hospital, it's the same. So like I said, this is what this bike's for. This bike is for the last mileage. So say you work up here. You know, you're either reliant on a bus and Looking around here, I doubt there's any buses. And so we head back into town. Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to ride home. I say it's only 10 miles and got 3 bars left, so I should be able to do it. Famous last words. Still no rattling. I say very nimble. When I was at uni, we used to come down here, so it was all kebab shops, and we used to say we were from the university magazine, and could we get a cheap kebab and give us the strongest thing you've got, and invariably it worked. And 8 times out of 10 we got a free kebab each. Why, I don't know. People were more trusting then. If I went in now, I'd be told to leave with the F word. Yeah, Leeds is properly set up for cycling. Oh look, dreaded rental bikes. They're bloody horrible, those things. I love Leeds Town Hall. Whenever I see it, it reminds me that I'm home. We're about to see it coming up here now. That big thing up there. I suppose Leeds Town Hall is very similar to Liverpool and its liver building. Shame can't get in front of it, it's all boarded up. Obviously having work done, but novel use of pianos. Thing is, you don't mind pushing it around because it's so light. So you can take it in places where we really won't take your 20 before because it stands out too much. It's a big lumpy thing, but this, you don't mind pushing it around. It's fab. Fab, 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 fab. Yeah, so we're going to head out of Leeds, heading up towards Morley, and then we're going to drop down into Wakefield from there. Pratt gets out of the way. I don't know if you can see that steeple ahead. I'll try and zoom in on the footage, but I'm going to get up that. Then I go down a little bit, and then I got another one of them to get up. Down a bit, and then another one to get up. Pretty much probably the worst way to do this, but there's only one way of finding out if it'll make it. If it makes up here, I'll be really impressed. This is like 3 long, really horrible hills. So this will be fun. They're off. So you see, it's a really horrible steep hill. It's long and it's going to torture the battery a bit. But there's only one way of finding out if it'll make it. It's not going to be the fastest hill climb. But this is one of those ones where you're going to watch your battery sort of like sag. So you're probably going to get down to a bar lower than you actually have in the tank. And then when you go downhill again, your bar magically reappears. But yeah, it doesn't look steep probably on the camera, but it's steep enough to mess with your batteries. And at the moment, mess with my quads. I'm in turbo, I haven't got full boost on, so I'm trying to make sure I get home. But made the first hill. Do I sound out of breath? My quads are a bit burny, but we've not just dropped 1 bar, we've dropped 2. It's only a small battery though, small motor. So, you know, dragging my 245 pound weight on the top of it probably hasn't helped it. And my bars are back. Like I said, one of the other great things about this is, apart from tightening stuff up on a regular basis, which you're going to have to do because there's no suspension on here absorbing the vibration. Vibration loosens stuff. So now we're back into another big long windy hill, and this one's sort of like the same again. Actually, it's probably time and a half. It's probably 2.5 times what we've just come up. So let's get it on. And the grind continues. You'll see what I mean about this hill when we get around the bend. I mean, I'm halfway up it now. But needs must. Got it in turbo, I'm not going to pull it into boost. But by the time I get to the top of this hill, I'd have probably dropped 2 bars, of which I'll gain at least 1 back, if that makes sense. It's a few more hills before I get home. But yeah, like my safe word, keep going. We're now getting to the top of this hill, then we'll drop down into Morley. But as a test, this is like 3 miles uphill, maybe more. So we got to the top of the hill. I'm going to drop down into Morley now, give this poor battery a rest. 24 mile an hour down, well 21 mile an hour now. Downhill, bit of free wheelie. Yay! Coming down into Wakefield. So as we drop down into Wakefield, it's saying nearly 34 miles. So it's going to be 35 minimum by the time I get home, 36. I think I'm going to have to stop off somewhere and have a drink. I've only had one drink. And I am definitely thirsty. It's a bit warm today. And here we are, down into Wakefield. Do you know, the only uncomfortable thing I've had with this bike so far has been the saddle. The saddle's been a bit of a grind. But apart from that, no pain, no struggle. I mean, you've seen some of the stuff I've been over with this today. As a commuter bike, it's been brilliant. It really has been a brilliant bike. Although my perineum, I can't feel that anymore. It's gone. I've wrecked my perineum. If you don't know what the perineum is, here's a diagram. And here's a picture of the seat. And that's the reason why my perineum's sore. But out of all the cons I could have given this bike, there ain't many. It's nearly all pros, but again with Engwe, the saddles. I mean, if you weigh less than me, it's not going to be a problem, is it? But if you weigh the same as me, 245 pound my pack on, so all that's getting pressed down on that saddle. let's get on home and do the breakdown. So the breakdown, let's talk about the Engwe P20. Where to start? In the end, I managed to eke out just over 40 miles before the battery died. Well, it was actually 41 miles. And then the battery died on me. But you shouldn't really do that with your batteries. You should only take them down to around about 10%. But I wanted to see what the true range was. That was a mix of either turbo or boost, or when I was going downhill, I didn't pedal, so I wasn't drawing any energy from the battery. And when I was going uphill, I tried to keep it in turbo all the time. Occasionally getting it down to one pass below that, but turbo was fine for getting me up hills. The boost, I couldn't believe how easy it was to get up the hill climb. The hill climb's horrible. And then coming back on that long ride uphill along Gelded Road, which was a little bit of downhill, but mainly uphill for over 3 miles. I'd have loved to have run a temperature check on that controller at the time. It must have been quite warm. But, you know, it did it. And that's your battery. That's it. That's all you get for that little bike. But it's enough. It weighs less than £5. So getting a spare one and throw it in your backpack, not a problem. It's not like it's an heavy 10 kilo battery or 8 kilo battery. This weighs £5. I'll put the weight up on the screen for you now. £5. That's brilliant. So what are the pros? Well, the pros is it weighs pretty much less than 22 kilos, the whole bike, with the battery on. And that's less than these weights I've got here. It's a phenomenal little thing. Those thin tyres, they're very firm. If you have those tyres at the correct pressure, it acts as a bit of suspension. Most of the time you don't realise it hasn't got suspension on it. It's only when you hit some either very bumpy or some deteriorated road that you realise that there's absolutely no suspension on the bike. And it does rattle a bit. Which brings me on to one of the cons. Make sure everything's tight. While I was in Leeds riding round, my stem became loose. And luckily I always carry a set of Allen keys with me and a set of screwdrivers. So tightening that back down wasn't a problem. And what else came loose? Oh, the top handlebar came loose. And it's only because of vibration. Vibration makes things loosen up. Folding it up's a doddle. As you saw in the video, it's so easy to fold up. It's not heavy. Like I said, 22 kilos max with the battery on. It's not heavy for me anyway. And I didn't even have to collapse it when I got it onto the train. It doesn't take up a lot of space. So the pros are, it's lightweight. It's got fantastic range for that small battery. It will pull a 245 pound man up a big hill. You know, I mean a big hill. And it does the hill climb quite easily. In fact, it does it easier than the P275 Pro. That single sprocket works really well. I love the little egg rider type display. I think they're brilliant. This bike can be unlocked, but I wouldn't recommend it because of the battery. You'll drain it faster than you can imagine. And it gives you enough speed. Going downhill, I was getting 24, 25 mile an hour. And as a constant, I'm running around about 14 mile an hour. And it's not a big struggle. I also love the fact that it's got a little set of indicators on, brake lights there, front lights quite bright. So at night time, it's going to be fine for riding around. Plastic fenders don't rattle at all, which is nice because we know with the metal ones, get a little stone in it, ping, ping, ping. So they're quiet, the fenders are quiet. The torque sensor works brilliantly, especially with that Gates carbon belt. It just works really well, especially with that small sprocket at the back. It seems about perfect for doing what you need to do with it. You're never struggling to go uphill. What you do tend to do is you use the pass as your gear system, because there's no gears on it. So you lower the pass to a range where you're comfortable sort of riding the bike. If you're going uphill, you increase the pass. If you're going downhill or on a flat surface and you feel comfortable enough riding it with riding it with no power is a doddle. You know, if you ever run out of power, you know what I mean? It's not that I can see anybody doing the range that I did on it in a day. And I'll get into the cons now. That saddle. Engwe, what are you doing with saddles? Do something better, especially for something like this. It's not comfortable. And it's comfortable enough for 5 to 10 miles, but if you're doing a long range on it, honestly, I don't think my perineum will ever be the same after doing the range I did on this. But saying that, it makes the bike look good, and if you're lighter, the saddle's not going to be an issue. I love the little indicators, they're brilliant, and the brake light. I'm not happy where they're situated, and there's no way of knowing if you've turned the indicator off again after you've turned it on. Not so bad at night because you can see it flashing, but during the day, you can't see anything. You can't see whether that's on or not, and I've found it not the best way to have an indicator separate. If they'd have been, and I'd have liked them to have been self-cancelling, which they're not. Self-cancelling takes the thought out of it. If they were self-cancelling, 5 blinks to one side, then they went off, that would be brilliant. Or you had some sort of light indicator in there showing you they were on, that there isn't anything in there. And kind of makes the indicators a moot point, because you get to the point where you don't use them because you don't know whether they're going to be on or off when you finish with them. And clicking a button and hoping it's off. And it doesn't matter which button you click, it turns them off. So if you're indicating right and then you click the left button, they go off. And then if you click the left button, it goes on again. But again, you don't know whether they're on or off. I found that a little bit, like I said, making them a moot point. They're nice to have on the bike. I like the brake light, but the indicators are a bit iffy. If I'm really going to be petty, the rear rack's a bit too small. And like I said, I couldn't get my pannier on the side of the bag, which I normally carry a tripod in. And there are bags out there that you can fit to the bike fine. It's just that it'd have been nice to have had some sort, but then you're struggling with the constraints of the size of the bike. So I understand that. But there are panniers out there you can buy that'll fit this. But that's just throwing a niggle at it rather than sort of a con. So it's been a day since I've finished the video, and I've had a really good think about this and what am I going to give it as a score out of 10. And it's going to be 9.4 out of 10. And I'd have given it 9.5 if it had been IP6 rated, and it's not. Unlike its bigger brother and sister, the Engwe P275 Pro in ST, it's not IP6 rated, and it's mainly down to the motor. The motor, you couldn't give an IP6 rating, but I would have no problems riding this round in light rain whatsoever. But it would have been nice to have it as IP. It's just that little thing that niggles you in the back of your mind, that it's not IP6 rated. But 9.4 out of 10, that's a good score. This is a good bike. In many ways, it's better than the P275 Pro. It just doesn't have the range. But like I said, that battery weighs £5. You won't believe what assistance you get out of that little battery and that controller. I haven't cracked it open and pulled, well, I know what a controller is, I've shown you, but I haven't pulled it out to have a look what the controller is. But for 36 volts, it does a brilliant job. And it's there when you need it. And this is what makes this a really good portable commuter bike. You can take it on the train. I was going to do a piece to camera where I put it in the back of my car, but the umbilical on my car has a wire breakdown, so I can't open the boot, well, the hatchback. So I couldn't do that, which was kind of upsetting really, because I wanted to show off how easy it was to get around. And the fact that you can have this in the back of your car, back of your van, whatever, and just take it out with you, and it's there when you need it, because it weighs bugger all. 22 kilos, it weighs nothing. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with that. 9.4 out of 10. It's a really, really fantastic little bike, and Engwe should be proud of this bike. You know, I arc back to what Engwe was building a couple of years ago and what they're building now. And I've been accused by being sponsored by Engwe, but I have to be honest with you, this channel is sponsored by nobody. And if there's a breakdown in communication with Engwe and me, or if they ask me to remove any of the videos that I already have on my YouTube channel, that's the end of that relationship. I also pay for stuff myself. So I buy stuff and I rank it and rate it, and you know, like the seat posts, they come out of my pocket and you think, oh, it's only £100, and it's like, well, it's £100 of my money. And it's odd that quite a few of you have actually put these suspension seat posts on your bike now since seeing the video. And you wouldn't have known about them if I hadn't done that small little test of just 2 of them. There's others out there, you can spend 275 quid on them. I wouldn't. But it's good enough for these bikes. I've actually got one on my Rusher now, and that makes a big difference as well. So that's it for now. My next video is going to be a ride on the Engwe Engine Pro 2, where I'm going to do a little ride down into Bradford, which is going to be about a 30 odd mile ride. I'm going to have a ride around Bradford, show you Bradford. And after that will be my next review. And I'm not sure what bike it's going to be yet. I've been told by my supplier Engwe that the next bike I'll be getting might be a bit late because I want the L20 Boost to review, but they've sold out everywhere. That shows how good that bike is. And don't forget, the Boost idea, I was talking about that last year, so I'm glad they sort of like probably saw me and implemented it, because it's such a good idea. Have a nice day, everyone.